a Zumba convention, Kyle? I didn't know they had those. DarbyCast, Wildcard Friday, Kyle and I were just talking about high energy events where people come together and do the right thing. A Zumba convention, which Kyle told me about, would be one of those events. How could it not be? You ever been to a Zumba class, Kyle? Because I haven't. But I just get the sense that everybody's smiling the whole time. Sweat's dripping, boundaries blurring, senses heightened, attitudes explosive, right? But that's not what today's about. But I think we could bring that level of energy into what we're doing. And we've been on a roll. Okay, Kyle, the last couple episodes, we have been hitting dingers. And so I want to keep that up. And I just get the sense that this whole thing is going to fire. It's going to work. Real quick, if you're new here, get lost. If you're a complete piece of garbage, we don't need you at all. My goodness, do we not? But if you are a candle of a person illuminating the darkness of this world, of which there is plenty, Kyle, I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff going on, but we need more candles beating back the void, the cultural and moral entropy that threatens the things that we love, really threatens who we are. So if you're one lumen or a gajillion, stick around. You belong here. Maybe you are just the wick of a candle waiting to be lit by the spark of excellence that is this episode, in which case you're going to want to stick around as well. A little bit of encouragement can go a long way. We've known this for years. Kyle, I've been thinking about something lately, and a lot of you know what I'm thinking about. But for those of you who don't, let's just jump right into it. I'm thinking about the Wild West, and I'm thinking about time travel. Some of the longtime listeners are saying to themselves right now, well, we've already been to the Wild West, episode 96, Silver Bullets. Good episode, strong episode. And that is not incorrect. But the Wild West was so important that we need to go back there. How are we going to do that? You guessed it, the time machine, the SS DarbyCast, a marvel of mechanical engineering. So aesthetically pleasing, it lights a fire in your imagination, not necessarily your loins, but if that happened, nobody would blame you for it. So close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, okay? And then close your eyes in a big way and place yourself in a secluded airplane hangar. The SS DarbyCast, which is the size of an aircraft carrier, is begging to be taken out for a test drive. Kyle, you did such a good job in our last time travel journey as a dog that I think we'd be cheating ourselves to not transform you into a dog yet again. So in this airplane hangar, we've got you, me, Kyle, as a dog, still a bloodhound, with a special collar this time, Kyle, made by friend of the show, Elon Musk. It allows you to talk. This Wild West team is shaping up swimmingly already. That's what a lot of you are just thinking to yourselves. And for some of the newer listeners who just got a little startled by me narrating your thoughts, get used to it. Who else is coming on this time travel journey with us, Kyle? I don't know. That's what you say, Kyle. And I want to celebrate your honesty because I haven't told you yet. You don't know, and you're not a dog that's just going to BS us. But in this airplane hangar, there's a humongous table, and it's got maps laid out on it, a couple artifacts, a couple cheeseburgers, and we're all sitting in some pretty comfy chairs. Crushed velvet chairs, crimson colored. Very powerful, the color red. But we're munching on our cheeseburgers, and in walks who? That's right, Sean Connery, who I picked up out of time in an undisclosed journey that I didn't even tell Kyle about. But he's alive, and he's with us now. Connery, he's suave, he's sophisticated, and he says, "What are we doing here?" And I say, "Sean, we got to go back to the Wild West, to an era that exemplified all things that we hold dear." And he responds and says, "Aye, a noble pursuit indeed, an era of rugged chivalry." I don't know if my Connery voice is that good, Kyle, but this is just how it's going to be for the whole episode. Okay. And then who walks in next? Kyle. That's right. Our girl Katrina. And she's looking good. She's got a shocking appearance and an even more shocking vernacular, Kyle. She could make the madam of a whorehouse blush with some of her callouts. But she's our friend, and her skill set, Kyle, as wayward tramp, sometimes comes in handy.
Hell yeah, you big fucking jerks. I'm stoked to be back with you. It's a pleasure. Pleasure town, USA. USA, hell yeah. Right fucking there.
For those of us with a keen ear, we heard it. She didn't say, I'm stoked to be with you. She said, I'm soaked to be with you. Pretty different, pretty vulgar, but that's who she is. That's the play she's been running. You extend a business handshake towards Katrina, but right before you make contact, in walks who? Nicolas Cage as Benjamin Franklin Gates from the National Treasure series. He's back. And what does he say? He says,
I am a world-class cryptologist, but the puzzle that I haven't been able to solve is why I missed you all so much.
How good did that feel to hear? Why don't you just take a second and bask in that call out? My goodness. Cage takes a seat and then in walks a bit of a wild card. We've got a large crew for this mission with good reason. It's going to be serious. Who walks in next? Kyle. Beats me. That's what you say. Continuing to build your legacy of honesty. The silhouette of an in shape, but also kind of out of shape guy appears as the elevator doors open in this huge hangar that's underground. So expensive. The whole place. But totally worth it. But who is it, Kyle? That's right. It's Alex Jones, who begins sprinting towards us and yelling,
I am a man, I am an alpha, I am a warrior, and I am ready to defeat the globalists. Interdimensional time demons will be everywhere, and I will crush their windpipes with my bare hands. Infowars.com.
A little bit of self-promotion at the end there. We can let that slide. He's a businessman after all. But this team isn't quite complete. We're waiting on one, maybe two other guys to show up. You're getting to know everybody pretty well. You're leading with really great questions in all your conversations. You're asking, how's your week going? What's been on your heart lately? Elevating the conversation out of small talk because we don't have any time for that. You, in fact, are constitutionally incapable of small talk. That's the kind of person you are. Such an asset to have on a time travel journey. My goodness. The elevator doors open again. And who is it? That's right. The Commander-in-Chief, Joe Biden. He's got a straight walk towards us. He falls quite a bit, hits his head a lot, but somehow ends up with bruises all over his legs. How does that work, right? You ever see old people at their grandkid's birthday, they get whacked in the arm with a baseball bat, piñata accident, and somehow end up with a massive contusion on their quad. Nobody knows how that works, but it does happen. But Joe Biden finally makes it to the table and he says,
Think about it. Built-in giraffes, Bluetooth clocks, and Tuesday shoelaces. Not to mention black people and gay people. Black people, let me tell you something. It's not about interdata pressure. Obama sandwich. Gay people are black and black people are Mexicans. Si se puede.
Ugh. It's a lot to take in, Kyle. Whatever it is Biden just said, and how amazing this team is. Pretty overwhelming in a circumspect sense. We've got one final person show up, and nobody has any idea who invited him, but it is a male feminist named Todd. And we see through it. We know what Todd's up to. He's a predator. He wants to say all the right things to the blue-haired chicks so he can get it in. Very inappropriate, low ethics. Guy's a piece of trash. But he shows up, last guy at the table. What does he say?
OMG, I was just thinking about how evil the patriarchy is. White guys and non-vegans make me upset as well. Yucky, yucky, not today, fascists. Like, hello, when a trans kid tells you who they are, you have to listen or else you're Hitler.
You look at Todd and you just drop a really assertive fuck you. And because of your authenticity, I know that in that moment, you're a leader and that you're going to be in the command deck for this mission. I'd be making a mistake to have you anywhere else. So we all board the time machine. You, me, Kyle, Nicolas Cage, Alex Jones, Katrina, Sean Connery, Joe Biden, and Todd. That's 9 people. We make Todd wait to get on. He's dead last. And right as Todd's about to board the ramp, Kyle gets in the way. And Todd's not happy about it. Puts his hands on his hips, very feminine posture. And he says,
can somebody get this stupid dog out of my way?
And Kyle, very smart dog, kills Todd. Jumps for the jugular. Blood's everywhere. Todd is toast. We all start cheering and giving each other high fives because Todd sucked and total sexual predator. He probably would have tried to assault Katrina. And that was a heads up play by you, Kyle. Everybody pats Kyle on the head and says, good dog. And what do you say, Kyle? You say, row. No English necessary for that excited remark. Kyle, roll on the time machine and you notice that the snack room has been upgraded. I upgraded the snack room. Cat's out of the bag. In addition to the already amazing spread that snack room contains now, we've got chefs. They'll make you a steak or other stuff, depending. Burger, sushi, caviar, champagne. You'll have full access to a salad bar. And that was a test. If any of you got excited for the salad bar, turn off the podcast. Not okay. You're just lucky Kyle didn't deal with you the way that he dealt with Todd. But we feast. We fill up our bellies, share a lot of laughs. Our friendships deepen. Then we all go to our stations. You and I, top shelf, top deck. You and I, we sit down in our chairs. We have a couple thumb wars, friendly thumb wars. But you turn to me after beating me 2 out of 3, which I'm not pleased about. And you say, what's this adventure all about? And I say, well, let me break it down for you. When good men do nothing, evil prevails. We see that a lot in our current society. Also, violence is the supreme authority from which all other authorities are derived. Always need a refresher on that. But violence for the sake of violence, not okay. That's what criminals and psychos do. Violence backed by holy virtuosity, A+. You are listening to me speak and you're enjoying it. If you're a longtime listener to the DarbyCast, you know that we've gone back in time to recover artifacts. But for this adventure, we're going back to recover ideas, attitudes, morals, values, friendship, honor, meeting savagery with unrelenting justice. I instruct you to approach the temporal navigation whodunit and punch in the year 1869, location, somewhere in Montana, dealer's choice. Wherever you think we belong in Montana, that's where we're going to go. But the year is non-negotiably 1869. You punch it in, no nonsense. And then you say, to destiny, to discovery, to America. And what a great call that is. Unfortunately, Katrina decides to bookend it and add a little.
To pleasure, to passion, to big old, huge fucking...
Sean Connery cuts off Katrina and says, that'll be enough, Lash. That'll be enough. And Katrina pipes down. You hit the big old let's do this button, and the space-time continuum begins to shatter, but in a positive way. And we are zapped to the past, to 1869, Wild West. Yeehaw, Kyle. The SS DarbyCast temporal coils shudder to a halt, and we find ourselves in the midst of 1869. I lead everybody to the armory and wardrobe area because we need to look good and have all the right tools. I put on a rugged, weather-beaten leather duster topped with a black Stetson hat. Very appropriate, almost too appropriate. That's what you're thinking. I've got an ornate Colt single action slung low on my hip. My gun is made out of gold. Connery remarks, quite naturally, the man with the golden gun. Nobody follows up on that because it's the perfect thing to say. Connery puts on the best fitting three-piece suit you've ever seen in your whole life with a crimson cravat and a pearl-handed Schofield, adjusts his bowler hat and winks at his reflection. What an alpha, right? Katrina, with her unapologetically brazen style, selects a saloon girl's outfit. Pretty revealing. It's got feathers, frills, sequins, and she's got a double-barreled Derringer. Alex Jones, while dressing himself, is still shouting about globalist treachery, which we all appreciate. But he grabs a Union officer's uniform, accessorized with a Gatling gun. You, total pro, find a practical trail outfit with an elegant duster coat. You grab a whip and an engraved Colt Navy. Very powerful handgun. Joe Biden, pretty bewildered by the entire experience so far. We could have gone on a trip to Baskin-Robbins and he would have been lost as all hell. But time travel is a lot for him. But he goes into a changing room and he emerges as a Buffalo Soldier. And his face is smeared inexplicably with blackface. We don't even have that on the time machine. So he must have brought it from home. Kyle, you wear nothing other than your keen instincts. And we're looking around and we're saying, well, where's Nicolas Cage? What happened to him? And then we realized we left him in the present. We blew it. We messed up. He forgot his cell phone in his car back at the hangar, said he was going to go get it. But we were all so thrilled by Kyle killing Todd that we forgot about him. And that feels terrible, especially after he gave that really great comment where he was like, I'm so excited to see you guys again. That hurts. But nobody said this was going to be easy. And if that's the price we have to pay for Todd to be toast, totally worth it. And Nicolas Cage will forgive us. Friends forgive friends. Honest mistake. Big mistake, but it was an honest one nonetheless. We step out of the time machine into a pretty dusty and toasty terrain and are immediately met by a pack of Native American warriors. Their eyes burn with ferocity and their war cries resonate with primal rage. The battle's on, right? There's no way we can avoid this violence. And sometimes you can't avoid a fight. But right off the bat, there is a storm of bullets, arrows, and gruesome violence. Sean Connery's elegant brutality contrasts pretty tastefully with Katrina's raunchy battle cries, filled with lewd promises and threats. Some of you are wondering what that sounds like, and I'll tell you, it sounds a little bit like this.
Tie me up and take me prisoner. Oh, wait, you can't catch me, you big fucking jerks. Hell yeah. Is that a tiny dream catcher in your pocket? Or do you just have an oddly shaped baby dick?
Really weird things to say. But that's Katrina. That's our Katrina, right? You are cracking your whip and your revolver is just roaring and each shot is finding its mark. Alex Jones, with his Gatling gun thundering, lets out a couple calls.
You've met your match, you little pot-bellied spider demons. 1776, you little goblin chimeras. Katrina is right. You're all hung like globalists. Prepare to meet your doom. Infowars.com.
We make fairly quick work of icing these guys. Battle's over. Joe Biden doesn't really know what's going on. He's still jogging around with his rifle, and he accidentally shoots a bald eagle. And you go up to Biden, you grab him by the scruff of his shirt, and you say, what the fuck was that about? I can look past a lot, but that's the worst thing you've ever done by a lot. And what does he say in response? He says,
You ain't black. Listen, I mean it. Rabbiteer, Bakaruba and Tanatang.
we don't even bother trying to put that together. But frankly, he's not even finished. He says,
Think about it. The Maui fires were on purpose. Directed energy weapon salad with diet RC cola. Bang, bang, you're dead, Jack. Sausage patties and misshapen boobs. Big ones. I mean it, folks. Obama did a bunch of men. I think that's pretty gay, right? Now I'd like you to meet my husband, Dr. Jill, who knows a thing or two about Rao Brocateter Battinger.
the dust from the battle settles, and on the horizon, a lone figure approaches. And it's none other than who? That's right, legendary Sheriff Dale DeBone, a lawman of mythic repute. His eyes appraise each of us. Spends a little extra time on Katrina. She's looking good. He's also pretty captivated by Joe Biden, who's now playing air banjo with his rifle and singing,
Na da ba da, Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Ba da da, na ba da. Cotton Eye Joe. Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe. Ba na da ba ba, Cotton Eye Joe. I've been married long time ago. Where the fuck have you been, Cotton Eye Joe?
There's part of us that finds that pretty appropriate, inspiring as well. But DeBone says to us,
You seem like a pretty formidable posse, but I reckon y'all could use a guide. I get the sense that you're interested in justice, and to that I'd like to point towards Proverbs 21:15. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers.
okay, so we just found like the greatest guide of all time, perfectly matched with everything that we stand for. And we continue our quest on the American frontier. And we know that we're probably going to face some danger, maybe some riddles, unexpected twists. Have you heard of them? But the essence of violence and virtuosity has been tasted in a big way. But our journey's only just begun. We commandeered some of the horses from the Native Americans because they're dead. They won't be needing them. And we follow Dale DeBone. I ask you, I say, is this your first time riding a horse? Because you seem pretty natural at it. And you say, I've ridden once or twice, but I think the real secret to it is my core strength. I'm not trying to brag here, but I do place quite a bit of emphasis on my core strength. I've got pretty firm abs. And now Katrina's got a clear path to make an off-color call out about hardcores and just being hardcore. And that's how she likes it. But Sean Connery senses that she wants to say it, and he beats her to it. And he says, refrain from saying anything slutty, Katrina. Katrina, don't. And what a great call, right? Kyle's trotting alongside the horses. He's a little dehydrated, but hopefully we find a watering hole soon, right? We ride on our nameless horses through the frontier. And you call it out. We're all thinking it, but you call it out. Total leader is what you are. You say, this makes me think about that song by the band America, Horse with No Name. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. However, it is pretty hot out and rain does sound, not bad. Kyle, still pretty dehydrated, says, rain sounds pretty good. You're the most honest dog in the entire world, Kyle. Good job. But we're following Dale DeBone on these horses that we commandeered from those savages that tried to snuff us out early. And the sun's finally dipping in the sky, revealing a pretty brilliant sunset. The Montana sky is ablaze with reds, oranges, even a little bit of yellow. Pink is there as well. But Dale DeBone, he says,
We need to set up camp for the night. Part of what it means to be an American is camping under the stars with your friends.
100%, right? he's getting no pushback from any of us. Alex Jones and Sean Connery take point on gathering firewood, while Katrina sets up some lean-tos. And our campsite is next to a babbling brook. And Kyle drinks water, quenches his thirst. We're all thirsty, but Kyle, we were worried about you. Biden is sniffing a cactus. He thinks it's a child. At least he's not getting in the way, right? But nighttime descends upon us and the embers of the campfire are crackling, casting a warm glow over the faces of this amazing team. Everybody's kind of absorbed in their own thoughts. It's pretty quiet at this campfire. Alex Jones thinking about globalists and all the bullshit they've been trying to pull. You meditating on friendship and our Lord and Savior JC, which I'm doing as well. You and I share that. Sean Connery quite obviously reflecting on all the carnage that happened in the battle with the Native Americans. He's got a half smile on, so you know he's not disappointed about the way it went down. But he's still reflecting on it, wondering about the moral implications. Katrina breaks the silence around the campfire, though, and says,
I'm glad Todd is dead. Good dog, Kyle. Good dog. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Yes, that's you. Shake, Kyle. Shake. Give me your paw, Kyle. Kyle, paw. Give me your fucking paw, Kyle.
Just give her the paw, Kyle. Stop being so difficult, right? Connery is eyeballing Katrina. We all know better at this point. Based on her looks, tempting. Based on the way she routinely conducts herself, very unappealing. But Connery doesn't know. Sean Connery beckons Katrina to join him at the edge of the campfire's glow. And she saunters over to him. And she's got the devil in her right now, Kyle. You see it? Katrina sits down on Connery's lap. Not like the full mount job, but like more of a Santa, what do you want for Christmas? And she says,
You think you can handle this, Sean?
Sean Connery responds and says, My dear, it's not about handling you. It's about understanding you. I believe there's more to you than meets the eye. Katrina fires back and says,
Is this guy serious?
We all start chuckling a little bit, Katrina included. She's got a weird laugh, right? But you don't want to criticize anybody's laugh because then they get afraid to be themselves around you. I once knew a guy who had a really off-putting laugh, and I told him about it. And he didn't laugh much in front of me after that. So as much as we're all tempted, you especially, to ask Katrina, hey, so like, who taught you how to laugh? Where'd you learn your process? You don't. And she and Connery just continue their back and forth. We're all just kind of watching this play out. But Connery says to her, your value is more than just your vagina. Your value is in your heart. You don't need to sell yourself short. You have more to offer and deserve more. Don't be such a slut. Katrina doesn't really know what to say. She's speechless. And so he continues. He says, it's never too late to choose a new path. Embrace your femininity, not as a weapon, but as part of who you are. Your value is in your kindness, your intellect, your courage, and your virtue. Kyle, I really wish I had practiced my Sean Connery voice like quite a bit more before recording this, but it is what it is, right? We're all just blown away by this paternal coaching that Connery is laying down to Katrina, though. So many gals missing that in today's crazy world. Honest conversations, one-on-one convos, just saying like, don't be a slut. Where the hell has that been? The rest of the night passes in thoughtful conversation. Connery's guiding Katrina towards a path of self-respect. Her crude words and explicit propositions begin to fade away, replaced by genuine connection and growth. Campingtripofalifetime.com, Kyle. Katrina goes to bed. Connery's still awake. And you approach him and you say, That was amazing. We all wanted to say something similar to that, but you just went for it. And Connery keys in on the thematic message of the journey, and he says, when good men do nothing, evil prevails. The following morning, Alex Jones wakes up before all of us and makes us quail egg omelets with badger sausage. He got all the ingredients himself. He was up very early, but it's a great touch. Our batteries are supercharged. Good night's sleep. Dale DeBone makes a little bit of coffee. He's got coffee in his saddlebags. The Wild West stretches before us, a land of danger and opportunity, and we are just figuring it out, what it means to be great people. Americans, heroes, leaders, companions. We make our way through some pretty treacherous terrain. Kyle whispering words of encouragement the entire way. Good job. We hear quite a few of those out of Kyle. Biden, Buffalo Soldier, has been growing increasingly erratic and confused. We messed up a little bit because we lost track of him during the campfire and all through the night. He could have been up to anything. But he was there in the morning, so what are you going to do, right? But he's tired. The black face is just dripping down his neck because it's hot out already. But we're riding, and Joe Biden spots a hornet's nest. He gets off his horse and jogs over to it, falling over twice on the way. It was only like 15 feet away. 2 major spills. But he gets up and addresses the hornet's nest. He says,
Well, Corn Pop, we meet again. Read the Lee, bang a terrific Arador Obama. You know the thing.
And then he just starts wailing on the hornet's nest, beating it, smashing it. And thank heaven there were no hornets in it. What a relief. I look at you and I say, get him back on his horse. We got to do stuff. You say, okay, good idea. Which it was. You put Biden back on the horse and we keep riding. But no more than a few minutes later, he gets off his horse. Again. His hands are trembling and his mind is just lost in a fog. And he trips and falls. His rifle that he's been clutching goes off and the world seems to freeze as the sound of a gunshot echoes through the air. We all look over in horror to find Joe Biden on the ground. His rifle blew his own head off. We're all pretty shocked. You're the first one to speak. You say, this is a tragedy, but I'm still focused on when he killed that bald eagle. Out of all the crimes he's pulled in his whole life, all the foreign money laundering, peddling influence, all the stuff with his son. Yeah, what just happened was a tragedy. But he killed a bald eagle. We didn't say any words. We didn't have a proper funeral for that bald eagle. That bald eagle is more American than Joe Biden ever dreamed of. Alex Jones starts a slow clap. I quickly join in. Sean Connery, quick third. Katrina starts smacking her own bottom. That's the applause she's putting forward. Pretty different. Overall, this is a pretty weird eulogy and response to said eulogy. But Dale DeBone's all about it. He pulls out a fiddle, just starts going to town on it. Connery extends a hand towards Katrina and says, young lady, may I have this dance? Alex Jones discharges the remaining rounds of his Gatling gun, just sprays it everywhere. What I'm trying to say here is this isn't a funeral. It's more of a celebration of life. Not necessarily Biden's, but of ours. We feel united, our bond deepened by a pretty intense shared experience. We all get back on our horses and we follow Sheriff DeBone. And you ask DeBone, you say, hey, so where are you taking us? Which is a really good question. because we've really just been going with the flow thus far. DeBone says,
We're headed to Longhorn Landing, a once prosperous town now overtaken by a seedy criminal element. The presence of criminal immigrants has driven most decent folk away, leaving those who remain living in constant fear. The streets are filled with the signs of decay and corruption. The town's decline is a dark reminder of the dangers that come when law and order are abandoned, when lands fall into the wrong hands, and when incompatible cultures filled with criminals and thieves are allowed to run rampant.
we ride into Longhorn Landing, and it is exactly as DeBone had foretold. Women are terrified. You see the look in their eyes. Rapists are everywhere. We don't know where these criminal immigrants are from, but they don't have American values at all. Terrorizing chicks is not part of the program. It's not. So we're exploring the town a little bit, assessing the damage. And out of nowhere, a lavish carriage comes into view. And it's none other than J.P. Morgan, the banking magnate, who has exploited the chaos in this town to acquire land, mineral rights, cattle, and businesses. And his greed and manipulations have totally taken advantage of the situation, turning the town's tragic demise into his personal gain. Katrina, her instinct sharp and her derringer at the ready, recognizes the evil in Morgan's eyes. Katrina's a great judge of character, even though historically she hasn't been the best at assessing her own character, nor has she been exceptionally judicious about her men that she's linking up with. But that's changing, and she senses that J.P. Morgan is a piece of garbage. And then Katrina, as an oxymoronic sounding high ethics seductress, approaches the carriage, knocks on the door. She says,
"Hey, just seeing if anyone needs their pipes cleaned. And FYI, I'm not a plumber."
Sean Connery turns to Alex Jones and whispers, "That's my girl." Katrina is allowed entry into the carriage. You and I share quizzical looks. We don't know what's going to happen. But Katrina goes inside, and then we hear shots ring out. Her derringer has been discharged. She gets out of the carriage, and then she says,
"I shot his dick and balls off. No big deal. Like, the whole thing is completely blown off his body."
a startling thing for a lot of us to hear, but justice comes in all different shapes, sizes, and varieties. But the show's not over. J.P. Morgan's guards and a bunch of immigrant criminals that he's employed start firing their weapons at us. And the battle is on. You give an impassioned speech during this gun battle saying private property ownership, marksmanship, and other things are important. And it inspires the townsfolk. They are called to action. And then instead of it being a fight of our team versus like 80 guys, it's our team versus 80 guys. And then we have like 400 bench players. And boy, is the battle over quickly. We've got the numbers. And it's over. The dust settles. And you continue addressing the people. I take a back seat here because I can tell that you're on a roll. And you step up and you say, we all need to stand together, protect our land, our values, our way of life. And we can never let evil prevail. Fuck these jerks. And that's met with roaring cheers. Longhorn Landing is liberated and the land is returned to its rightful owners. The criminals are driven out. We all go over to the saloon and we enjoy some whiskey. As we're all drinking, having a blast, high-fiving quite a bit, we all look over at Alex Jones. He's pretty quiet. He's got something on his heart that he really needs to get off his chest. You, total leader at this point, you say, Alex, what do you got for us? And he says,
honestly, I'm just really glad to have such amazing friends who care about the stuff that actually matters. Globalists be damned. Infowars.com.
We party into the evening, and we've got a lot to celebrate. Sure, a lot of people passed away during this journey, And arguably, we handled all those deaths pretty weird. But it's one thing to mourn the loss of a loved one, another one to enjoy the death of an enemy. I think we can celebrate the passing of our enemies within reason, like the Dale DeBone spontaneous hootenanny with the fiddle may have been pushing it, but maybe it was just right. You'll have to decide that for yourself. We leave Longhorn Landing and we go out to our final campfire of the adventure. Everybody's gathered around. We're pretty much all best friends now. And you have an idea. You say, would everybody like to become blood brothers and sister? Tip your hat to Katrina. Everybody's like, yeah, why not? Why not? But then we realized that Katrina might have some bloodborne infections that she's accrued over the years. And so I say, how about we just do a group hug? How about that? And everybody's fine with it. Group hug plays. After the group hug, Katrina and Sean Connery lock eyes. There's a lot of tension between the two of them. Katrina's licking her lips in a way that's not very true to the pep talk that Connery gave her earlier, but change doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it's a process. Oftentimes, Kyle. But Connery says to Katrina, you've got the fire in you. That's certain. But beneath the facade, there's a heart waiting to be seen. And then Dale DeBone steps up and says,
You know, I'm an ordained minister. If you two are serious, I could marry you right here, right now.
Katrina agrees pretty gleefully and says,
Hell yeah, let's do this, Sean.
but Connery's not really about it. He says, let's not put the cart before the horse. He's just being polite. He doesn't want to marry Katrina. She's got a lot of potential, but it's just not going to work for him. We say our goodbyes to Dale DeBone and say thanks for everything. You're a really great guy. He gives you his sheriff's badge, and I'm pretty jealous. But also, I understand that you did so much that you earned it. This isn't a freebie. It's not a handout. You earned that badge fair and square. DeBone tries to give me a handshake, but after that sheriff's badge stunt, I snub him on his handshake. I don't return the handshake. I just hit him with a, see you around, man. Good luck. And that's not the right thing to do. He was helpful for all of us. I need to scan my soul a little bit after the BS that I just engaged in and figure out why my heart isn't just full of gratitude for all things. I'm going to have to work on that when I get back to the present. We all go back to the time machine, set the horses free that we'd been riding. Pretty high ethics play. And we zap ourselves back to the modern era, back into the underground super high-tech hangar where we started this whole thing. And Nicolas Cage is waiting for us. We all disembark and we see him with his hands on his hips. And we're having a tough time getting a read on him. You go up to him and you say, Nick, we messed up. We missed you the whole time. You would have been a great addition. And what does he say? He says,
I made scones for everyone as a symbolic gesture that represents our friendship. Scones have amorphous shapes, but at the end of the day, they're real treats, full of flavor. Fun fact, scones are believed to have originated in Scotland in the early 1500s.
what a great guy, right? We all have a laugh. Katrina laughs the hardest. Gets her chuckles all the way in there. And so that's our Wild West adventure. Violence wielded appropriately for the right reasons. A lot of laughter, a lot of friendship, marksmanship. Okay. You give Kyle a treat at the end. And what does Kyle say? He says, thanks a lot. These taste good. You are just the most honest dog, Kyle. You did a great job. I need to take a page out of your book in the gratitude department as well. I want to integrate that into my day. Amazing work. You did the best work out of anyone. But that's going to do it for DarbyCast. That's Wildcard Friday. Send this to somebody who needs a boost to their whole world. Let's do this thing right.